Thanks, Kevin. So this is work on variation in food prices and SNAP, which is Supplemental Nutrition Assistance Program, which is otherwise known as food stamps. Adequacy for purchasing the Thrifty Food Plan. Joint work with my colleagues at Swarthmore and the University of Oregon, thanks to funding from the University of Kentucky and the USDA. So we're interested in looking at whether SNAP benefits are adequate. There's evidence that they are, but for some people, but SNAP benefits the level is fixed across 48 states based on a national food price average, as with many other federal benefits. There's some adjustments for housing and medical care costs, but we suspect that that's inadequate adjustment. So that's what we're looking into. Right now, the data situation, when you think about food price variation, it's really only at the census region level. So this is gigantic. There's only 4 census regions, and this is the level at which data is usually released, which is, if you think about it, likely very inadequate in determining like how much your food in San Francisco costs. So that's what happens over time. The USDA has created a new data set, the Food Acquisition and Purchase Survey, which tracked a nationally representative sample over a week over the whole country, looking into very detailed records of what food they bought over this week. So we're going to look at whether food stamp benefit levels are adequate to purchase the Thrifty Food Plan, which you don't really need to know what's in it. It's just, it is a well-defined basket of food. It's the food that basically, the food basket that food stamp benefit levels are set at. So you're supposed to be able to buy the Thrifty Food Plan basket with 30% of your net income plus the food stamp benefits. So that's how they determine how much food stamp benefits you get, is so that you can buy the Thrifty Food Plan. But since this Thrifty Food Plan is calculated at an average, when we're looking at it, it was about $150. That's just the national average that determines the benefit level. But if you look at stores, there's obviously a distribution of the cost of the food at stores. So we look at sort of what percentage of people are actually able to buy the amount of food that they're supposed to be able to buy with the existing benefits. We look at, for actually SNAP-enrolled households and for SNAP-eligible households, and sort of look at characteristics of households for whom it's adequate. But basically today I'll just show you that if you look at the county, state, or by census region, then you might think that adequacy levels, so we use gross income, net income, and the maximum benefit level, which should theoretically be the same thing as net income plus benefits, since that's how maximum benefits are defined. But anyway, you can look in that mean column and see that between 70 to 75%, depending on how you define it, 70 to 75% of SNAP households can buy the amount of food that they're supposed to be able to buy. But that's assuming that people can just like magically shop around over their entire county or state or census region. So we look at the stores at which people shop, and it's only 35 to 40% of people. But if you assume sort of concentric radii by their census block group, which is a pretty small geography, so 20, 10, 5, or 2.5 miles, you go from 60, so 50% or so of people can afford the basket of food they're supposed to be able to afford at more reasonable geographic groups. 2.5, the average person shops at a store between 2 and 3 miles away from their house. So that sort of 2.5 mile radius is like a pretty reasonable approximation of what people are doing right now. And you get sort of similar numbers 50 to 60% sufficiency rates if you just look at nearest stores, nearest two stores. And so this just shows you by mile radius, you get between, only 50 to 70% of people can actually afford the amount of food that they're supposed to be able to afford with the existing benefits at reasonable levels of shopping around based on travel distance. So that's very preliminary results, and we'll be looking at nutritional effects and sort of health outcomes based on this geographic variation in the future. Thanks.